Okay, let's call the meeting to order. We'll do the pledge and then a moment of silence.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, roll call. All three commissioners are here. Next will be public comments, and I did write down one thing again. If possible, anybody's got a comment, 5 minutes to express their comment. Personal opinion, it takes two to tango on this board. I would like for staff to write down what the comment is, because staff is the one that runs the rules that we set up. That's called policy. If we just express something, we're expressing an opinion. So there's no way that I personally can resolve anybody's comment that's going to come before me. So, and staff, normally, at least to me, they're very responsive, and I think they've been very responsive to anybody who's had a comment. In fact, we had somebody, and I thought it was rather interesting. That individual mentioned, and I won't mention who it was or where he came from or she came from, said, gosh, I got right into the administrator's office. He was highly shocked that that was done, and I thought that was good. So we do react. And it's nice to see you here again, Joe, coming to the night meeting. That's good. Anybody have a comment this evening? Well, that took care of that, and I had a pretty please request from the clerk asking if we could move the distribution of the special alcohol funds up to the next item. And if that's all right with you, is that all right with you?
Yes, sir.
So if we, is that all right with you, ma'am? Or did you want to wait?
No, that's all right.
Okay.
I don't want to inconvenience the others that are with me.
Oh, okay, that's very concerning. That's good.
Thank you.
The Special Alcohol and Drug Council comes in once a year for a distribution of money to organizations that have applied through a grant process for money for drug-free, for instance, drug-free parties, DARE programs, anything related to children in the field of drug prevention. The fund is fund number 134, and currently that fund has $116,000 in there. The money is received quarterly by distribution from the state of Kansas. There you go.
Very good. Yes, ma'am, would you identify yourself and
I'm Pat Barnhart with the Leavenworth County City Drug and Alcohol Abuse Council, and I would like to acknowledge that there are other council members here with me tonight, Teresa and John Groves, Barbara Adolphson, and Laura Thornton. That's not all that are on the council, but that was all that were able to attend tonight.
Thank you.
We met and reviewed all of the grant applications, and you have that information in front of you. I will tell you that we are recommending the full amount that each one of them requested. All of their applications were well done.
Have any of them been turned down or anything for any reason?
No.
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 That's good.
Everyone met all of the criteria that were needed, and their requests were very reasonable, and so we're recommending the full amount requested as listed.
Ready for a motion?
No.
No?
Oh, we can do the motion and then we can do the
Discussion.
Yeah, we can do the motion next.
Make a motion that we approve the Leavenworth County City's Drug and Alcohol Abuse Council request.
I'll second that.
Okay, did you have any questions?
No.
I got about 20 questions. No, I don't, not 20. I just saw down here retro bill, Leavenworth Sheriff Department. Doesn't he have room in his budget? He just hired an attorney. Oh, no answer on that? That's all right.
Well, I think I could answer that.
I just wanted to play with the sheriff.
Well, I know, but this goes quite a ways. I mean, he goes to a lot of schools.
Goes to a lot of places.
Yeah.
Yep. I've seen him, met with him. How much was left over last year? Do you know that off the top of your head? How much money was left over last year?
Janet?
We probably distributed 27,000.
About,
What, I don't even
I think
know.
this
It's
is
about the same.
27.7. I think it last year
It was
maybe
about the same amount.
27.3. I
So,
believe it was.
did we have the same amount left over last year? By that, I mean, we got,
No, we have a little, each year it grows.
it grows, okay. So
With the
that-
fear, you know, Pat's been very conscientious and the committee, because there's a fear that the distribution money will one day end from the state.
Oh, yeah,
And
they're
so-
gonna want to take more of our money, and that's the way the state works.
So that's why, you know, the committee's been very conscientious about making sure that there was some money held back, you know, for future
Right.
years in case the distribution does stop.
Okay. And the last
Because
question I have.
I'd like to say
excuse me.
that many of these, some of these organizations and projects are very dependent upon this money. And if it goes
Yes.
away, we want to give them plenty of time, you know, hopefully 2 or 3 years, to either find other
Right.
sources or figure out how to cut back or whatever so that they can continue because all of these programs that are educating and children and youth are very important, and we don't want the programs to go away. So we want to make sure that there's a way that they can work on getting other sources if
That's a
that
very
happens.
enlightening approach. I like that, you know, sort of having a CIP there for you to take care of them. Last question I have, so you're done for the year, or if different organizations come in, is that still a thought process, or do you look at that?
Yes. Sometimes opportunities arise that are not available in this particular
Right.
time frame. We meet again in June and again in September.
Okay.
And, you know,
Very
we
good.
consider.
Very good. Okay. How do you vote?
Aye.
Aye.
Hi,
Very good.
Pat. I'd like to thank Pat for all she's done. She's been here as long as I've been here, and
Wow.
her and her staff. And she's done a very good job, and she volunteers, her and her staff
Yeah.
volunteer. They're not paid. And
Yeah.
I want to thank you for your job well done.
Yep, thank you.
You have something you want to say, Barb?
You know, just one.
Are you addressing me, Mr. Glenn? I don't know if you're all aware of the fact that the application process, our organization, these funds that we distribute each year with your blessings does not, by any stretch of the imagination, take care of the project that these individuals are doing and sponsoring. The After Crum one out of Pleasant Ridge is near and dear to my heart. Let's keep them out of the field without their pigs, please. And some of the other things that are going on, they have to show to us and demonstrate how they're raising the funds and where the funds are
Right.
coming from. So-
And that's very good. They've got something in the game, in other words.
Yes.
Yeah, that's very good. That's the way it ought to be. Okay, now we'll go back to the normal agenda. And if you'd like to stay and listen to the rest of the meeting, you can. Administrative business.
Mr.
Yes.
Chairman, on your agenda, it lists an executive session to discuss pending litigation with your attorney. Out of courtesy to Mr. Ryburn, could we take that matter up now?
Okay. Somewhere here, there is, do you have?
I'll make a motion.
Okay.
You ready for a motion, Mr.
I'm ready
Chairman?
for a motion.
I move that the board recess for a closed executive meeting for the discussion of pending litigation as justified by KSA 75-4319B2 for consultation with legal counsel for the board, which would be deemed privileged in the attorney-client relationship, and that the board resume open meeting at 6:05 in the meeting room of the board. Present in the executive meeting will be the county commissioners, Mr. Scott Ryburn, county administrator, and senior county counselor.
Second.
Okay. There will be 2 commissioners there. I will not be there. Anything you come out with, you can mention to me, and I will ask for a vote if there's anything that we need to have a vote on, and I will vote with whatever direction that so.
Okay, then let me rephrase that Commissioner Doug Smith, Commissioner Robert Holland be present.
Thank you. And Bob seconded? You'll second that?
Second.
Okay. How do you vote?
Aye.
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 Very good. Okay, the executive session time has come and gone. We need to,
Commissioner Clamp,
yes, sir.
if you could announce that the board comes out of executive session at 6:05 and resumes open session. Just announce that for the record.
I'll second that. Thank you, David. The commission comes out of executive session, and we'll go back into regular session.
At
Is that all right?
6:05.
At
At 6:05.
Did I do okay?
You did
I'm
great.
proud of you, Commissioner.
Thank you. I love pride.
Do we need to acknowledge that we were in executive session and the topic?
Your motion covers that.
Okay.
And I'll speak, if you don't mind me speaking, Commissioner Smith, I don't want to interfere with the policy decision made by the board, but a proper motion might be to direct counsel to proceed under the consensus that was discussed in executive session, to be finalized or binding finalization at a later date.
Okay. I'll make a motion. Are you ready for a motion, Mr. Chairman?
Yes, and then we'll discuss it.
All right. I'd like to make a motion to authorize our legal counsel to proceed as discussed and,
That's fine.
yeah, discuss in executive session.
Second.
Okay.
For discussion.
Yeah.
If you want to discuss.
Yes, I
There's
definitely want
nothing
to
to
discuss.
discuss.
You know, this is where it gets me now. Every motion that I've ever seen, and gosh, I went through, I don't know how many, not just with the county, with the cities and the school districts, where that comment is made, and then it comes out and somebody doesn't, you come up with something, legal does, and then it almost appears as, why didn't that come out after we came back in? Because we were directing you or directing somebody, or the school was directing somebody. We were directing somebody to take the action that was done in the meeting.
Commissioner, with respect to litigation, state law does not require you to operate at a disadvantage. It contemplates that municipalities may go into executive session to discuss options available to them with legal counsel and does not require that they be made public until such time as the binding final action of the board takes place, and that would take place in open session.
Okay, that sounded good. I can relate back to some judges that I know that, you know, I won't get into judges tonight. Okay, that's the only question I have. Bob, you got one?
No, I'm good.
Very good. How you vote?
Aye.
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 Okay.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you, Mr. Robert.
Thank you for showing.
Drive safe.
Okay.
Now we can get back on schedule.
You want to leave?
Yeah, I'll leave. Is your mic on?
No.
Please turn it on.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
I was just waiting for an order.
I know. That's what women are good at.
Yeah. Oh, God, I'll second that motion. Okay.
I'll third it.
Yeah.
No comment.
No comment. Okay. So back in the agenda, it's, we're talking about the consent agenda now. I think, isn't that where we're at, or we're still doing some administrative?
Consent agenda.
Consent agenda, and that's approval of the minutes. Does anybody have any questions on the minutes?
No.
I don't have any. Schedule for next week.
I'd like to amend that for a possible executive session.
Okay. For, okay. Is that create a great problem there, Mr. Administrator?
No, that would be something that we would support.
And it'd be attorney-client privileges.
Okay. Executive session. Put that, you want to do that
At the beginning?
at the beginning?
Yes, sir, if we could.
Is that all right with you, Bob? All right with you, Administrator?
Yes, sir.
So at 9 a.m., I will, after public comment, we'll do the,
How far a drive does,
An hour.
okay.
He has a 1 hour drive.
So if he leaves at 8 o'clock, he'll be
Uh,
here.
okay? So at, we'll make it after, why don't we put him in right, because it's a decent hour drive.
mhm.
Put him in after approving the consent agenda. Okay?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
That'd be
that
fine.
goes, no, you copy that, Executive Secretary? Executive session. If you put in the proper nomenclature, I don't know if we need to announce what it's about, or,
We'll put it on the
Just-
agenda, so it'll
Yeah.
be covered.
very good. Okay, that takes care of that. Through the check register, any questions on that?
No. Look pretty standard.
Question, Bob? The only ones I have, I'd just like to point out to anybody that listens to these meetings, doesn't matter what page, because it's just, on page 5, it said rock, $20,000. Blue Cross Blue Shield, it's always nice to point that out so people know how their money's going, $222,000. On page 6, I'm gonna change my name to Rock, you know that?
Mhm.
Really $56,000. And I brought up some things to the administrator that I'd like to on, and he's coming up with the information. And I see this salt control, or buying of salt, okay, ice control salt
Mhm.
of $9,000. And what I brought up to him is I'd like to see, most of you aren't aware, And it's nice to have comments. And one of the things I mentioned to a guy the other night, Taste of Leavenworth, we need to get what you're questioning to you so you can study it to come and talk to the manager, city manager, county administrator rather, or down to the public works, and you can talk to them about what you're wanting to know about. Because I brought forward to the administrator, Leavenworth School District's doing $36+ million worth of bond issue. You know how much the interest is on that for 20 years? 20 million, 24 million to be exact, somewhere around 24 million. So any money we're getting from the state is going to the bankers, anybody in the interest area. I think that's interesting for people to know. We have the potential to bring in 97 million. We're upgrading the figures or downgrading them, doesn't matter. He'll have those figures for us pretty soon. Out of the 97 million, and this is a little different, we're not getting anything from the state. Probably 50+ million is going for interest. So it's rather interesting what happens in this world of borrowing money. Governmental entities don't like to work on a cash basis. And I can see why. It's easier for them, but it's sure easier for me if I know I got $97 million that I can draw on for a long period of time, and I never pay a cent of interest because you and me, the taxpayer, is paying this money every time we go buy something, and when the money gets to where we can spend it, fine. So maybe the counties need to be, in the cities and the school districts, and any district needs to be accumulating in a CIP for the major issues, which we do, we depreciate. But it's rather concerning that nobody ever talks up high about a $37 million bond issue for schools, and we're paying out $24 million for interest. I think something about that bothers me. And that out of 97 million, over 50 million is going to interest. Think how many roads and how many bridges we could build. It's unbelievable. So, he's working on some information because I want to know how far we can borrow right today with the amount of roads we can accomplish by going out to Line Weaver, to Miles, to all the contractors, and say we want to develop every road with a new policy which says we will put down the gravel, the amount of gravel, I don't know whether it's 4 or 6 inches, and then we'll put down a couple layers of chip and seal, and then we'll come back 2 years later, how many years it will take to do all the roads and where we can borrow the money to get that done. Because if you read what the county administrators voted on, it says what we can do. There's nothing in that resolution about economic development, nothing. And yet we've spent $10 million on economic development. That was all added a little bit later. Now the 3 roads were there, but some of this stuff was added later. And later is not policy. That's just some kind of agreement by somebody, but doesn't have anything to do with resolution, and none of that was presented to the voter. Wasn't on what they voted on. You can get a copy of what they voted on. None of that's in there. Yes, sir.
Commissioner, I don't wish to be argumentative.
You can.
The issue of economic development was on the ballot question. The ballot question committed not
Yep.
more than 20%.
You're not being argumentative. You're presenting a point. I love it when somebody is presenting a point.
I just wish to make that comment.
But it was not on our resolution. Okay, do you agree with that?
I'm not certain which resolution you're referring to, Commissioner.
Well, I'm referring to the resolution that said 147th Street, McIntyre, Eisenhower, the improvement of secondary road system in the county. That's all it's on, what we voted on. Now, somebody came back later and added 20% economic development. Better than what we voted on. The commission, I'm saying. Somebody added it later. What takes priority in this? To me, and there's two different things that say that. Here's one, and this was done on December the 31st. When a resolution, dear registered voters, letters we send out to the registered voter takes a priority, and it says 80% of the sales tax proceeds will go to finance the following streets. Okay? And I guess that's talking about the 40 million. 147, McIntyre, Eisenhower. The remainder of the 80% allocated to road and street improvements will be used for the improvement of secondary road system in the county. Then somebody added a number 2. 20% of the county's share of the sales tax proceeds will be used for the future capital needs of the county and to encourage economic development. That's a letter to the voter. What if I'd sent a memo to you saying, well, I'd like to have this? So, and do not ever feel that you're presenting a point to me that I get upset, David. I do not get upset. Thank you. So, I'm asking the administrator to collect all this data to see how much we can borrow and be able to pay for, not on a cash basis, I'm all for that now, but how much we can pay for to do every road in the county minus certain restrictions. There's going to be some restrictions because, and then anybody that develops a road is going to have to pay for the whole thing. That doesn't mean we don't pick up the tab for taking care of it. But when I mention the salt, that brings in an important question. We're going to quit. We need to quit using salt on the roads. Oh my God, we can't quit using salt. No, you get up a half hour earlier. We'll get the roads graded. But somewhere we are on this womb to tomb. That is no good. That is not beneficial. We cannot afford to be doing that. So if we can get every road done and then all the rest of them are going to be developed by developers, I think that's a great idea. But it constantly says in here secondary roads. And that's what we need to be concentrating on once we get past this 3 roads that we got to get done. So let's don't worry about doing them on a cash basis, but let's worry about what we can pay for, okay? So, and I can tell you're itching to say something, or no?
Oh, I disagree with your not using salt, but
oh God!
But
no.
I can agree.
No, what's that going to do to the road? It's going to tear it up. Look at my concrete.
Well, we don't have any concrete roads in the county.
Hundreds of thousands of dollars, but that's what it's going to do to the asphalt. That's what it's going to do to the concrete. You can't afford that.
I think you can categorize the roads in certain ways. There'd be certain priority roads that would, you know, I'm saying you're not going to be able to salt every secondary road if you do chip and seal.
Well, yeah, there's going to be a study there, but you're.
But then it'll be sand.
Sand?
You have to do something.
No, sand's all right.
Yeah. Well,
but the thing is,
we're close to the river. We got plenty of sand.
Somewhere we need to stop and look at the economics of the county. How many 20-cent sales taxes do we want to have? Constantly. We're going to have another one. I won't be here. Bob may not be here. You're young enough. You're 40, 42, 41. Something like that. But the thing is, we need to.
I was once.
Yeah, you went through it, didn't you? So the thing is, it's just something that I've asked him to come up with to see how many roads we can get done. Whether we solve or that, you know, that'd be somebody else's problem. I can't say I give raps, you know what, but I know how much money salt costs me, and I just don't. I think that people need to. We didn't have salt back when. My God, can't you get up a half hour early and go to work and drive slow? I was coming down, and that's what bothers me about what kind of lights we're gonna put up there at Eisenhower. And we're back on that subject, yeah, yeah. I'm coming along at 42 miles an hour. I'm speeding 2 miles an hour. I'll admit to that. This guy passed me at 57 miles an hour because I sped up to pass him. I was just hoping there wasn't going to be traffic up there where he had to stop so I could see him say, oh, I can beat that traffic. 57 miles an hour on 40 mile an hour road. There's no enforcement of the law. So, and we're going to chip and seal every road in the county. Oh, there's going to be some movement of traffic. So, but I just wanted to bring that up so you know what's coming from him. I think there was a couple, unless you had something you want to say on that?
No.
Okay.
Are we on the consent agenda? Is that what we're on?
We're still on the consent.
Okay.
So we need a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda items.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded, approve the consent agenda items. How do you vote?
Aye.
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 Let's see, there were a couple other things here. What were they? Do we need to sign Ms. Mo's? I mean, do we need to do a motion on it or just go ahead and sign it?
Well, I think it would be appropriate for the board, if you're all going to sign it, to go ahead and make a motion to accept
Okay.
the recommendation.
Do
by
you
the
have her
committee.
letter in front of you?
No.
No, I do not.
Okay.
It was in your inbox.
Yeah, it was in your.
You have a member of the Planning and
Let
Zoning
me read the
Commission.
letter. Okay, I'll
There you
read the
go.
letter. March 27, 2018, Ms. Earlis Moe gives her address. We want to thank you for over 12 years of service to the Leavenworth Planning Commission and the invaluable contribution you have made to Leavenworth County. Unfortunately, according to the bylaws of Leavenworth County Planning Commission, any member who accrues absences beyond a total of 4 in any Planning Commission year shall be considered to have resigned from their appointment. We appreciate the time you took out of your busy schedule to participate, and thank you for sharing your insights and expertise with the citizens of Leavenworth County. Your willingness to volunteer your time, energy, and expertise is greatly appreciated. We wish you all the best in the future. Sincerely, Robert H. Holland, member, 1st District, Lewis Klemp, Chairman, 2nd District, and Douglas Smith, member, 3rd District. So I'll entertain a motion to sign the letter.
I'll make a motion that we assign the letter of appreciation.
Okay,
Second.
second. No discussion? How do you vote?
Aye.
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 And I'll sign this and then pass it over to Douglas. I don't know if there was something else that came in here that, I think you were lucky, because we're gonna get out of here in about another 5 minutes, I think. But, City of Leavenworth, and I don't know if you guys read their whole,
Yes, sir.
agenda.
I did.
And it was ungodly. They're gonna be there all night.
It's not H.
I think they're going to, on the Port Authority appointee.
Yes, they're discussing the Port Authority, but I think we need to be considering on the Port Authority, because what I was reading here, and I thought it was interesting, this was a letter from the Leavenworth County Port Authority agreement. And down here, it says, for purposes of making such determination, they were talking about funds joint authority. It said, the parties to the agreement shall respectively contribute to the operating budget of the Port Authority an additional sum of $500. Well, you know, we're ungodly. I don't know what we're up in $1 million, something like that. Their budget this year is $280,000. Leavenworth County basically paid that whole amount. And so I think we need to be coming up with a figure that if it's going to be joint and they participate, we'll see what their voting is tonight. It won't be a budgetary vote tonight.
No.
Because that isn't budget time, but you know, if you look at $280,000, okay, Leavenworth County gives $140, and you divide the rest of the cities up, Leavenworth given 40, Lansing 30, Bonner Springs 30, Tonganoxie 30, Easton and Linwood give 5,000 each, and we waive that because of respect for their community. But, and the county picks it up. But there'll be some kind of figure we can come up with, either that or we take over and finance the whole thing. And we appoint the boards. Now, they can be ex officio members.
Or something else
Yeah.
to think about is, why not have our own
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Port Authority?
But they can still be official members, Bob. Yeah. So, but I think that's something that our staff needs to be looking at.
Well, I think we need to expand the board members, cover it, all parts of the county.
Okay? That's not all a bad thought. You know,
Mhm.
volunteers get harder and harder to come by.
I like that thought.
Okay? What do we have? The mayor of every city? How do we do that?
That doesn't matter, it's just a representative from every city.
If
As
you
an
give the mayor
ex-officio
from
member?
every city, he can always appoint someone to go
Mhm.
Yeah.
take his place.
Mhm.
Well, that's like, I've been taking this county administrator with me to these meetings.
Mhm.
Now, I can't make the one, is it tomorrow? Yeah.
I'm just gonna go to that tomorrow,
Yeah, and-
Port Authority.
And he's going. And then they're gonna discuss finances late after that. So,
Yes,
that was one of the questions I was gonna say, can one of you go? Because I'm
I will be there.
gonna do a toothing thing tomorrow, so.
Can't you just drop them off and leave them?
No, it doesn't work that way yet.
Okay.
So, but I think it's something that, yeah, we look at expanding the board, but it's the finances of it that's more important than anything else.
But I think if you expand the board and get more cities involved, you may see some interest in some financing.
You mean better than $500?
$500 was the 1969 rate, wasn't it?
Yeah, for two people, and then we.
For
end up-
1969, well, we're past
Yeah,
1969.
and we're paid, how many million?
Well,
Million,
yeah.
million,
Yeah.
over $1 million.
Right, right.
And nobody else, $1,500 from the city of Leavenworth.
But I think our county's growing, and
Yeah.
I think I'd like to see more representation on that board.
I don't mind representation if you can get it. That's very hard to come by, because then somebody, you know, in a small county, everybody's got a conflict of interest. And somewhere you're gonna have conflict of interest. So, was there anything else that you can think of?
I didn't know, is any of the commissioners going to go to the conference in Wichita in May? Okay. All right. Okay. And got time for another one?
Yeah.
Alliance Against Family Violence. What's happening with that?
Good. That's a good question.
They're, last I heard, they're still not operational.
Okay.
I met with one of their board members. They're going through a restructuring.
Right.
They thought they would have potentially have a proposal for us to consider, but I have not heard back from them since that time.
There's some money sitting
Right.
somewhere, isn't there?
Absolutely.
Yeah. They have to come back to this board and ask and
Do
give
we
a
know how much money
presentation.
it is off the top of somebody's head roughly?
I don't know off the top of my head. I think it's around $50,000.
50.
That's what I was gonna
50,
say,
I think.
50,000.
50,000.
Yeah. That's what we approved, I think.
Yeah.
I might be wrong on that.
Yeah, that's right. Well,
But
if
it's
you
in
could-
that ballpark.
How about asking the administrator to follow up on that?
Well, it sounds like he is.
We
Oh,
have.
okay.
It's kind of in their court right now on how they proceed. They have some restructuring they have to take care of. And once they get that done, then I believe they'll come in and ask this
Is
board.
that a governmental restructuring? In other
No,
words,
that's
will
an
be done this
internal.
year?
Well, I don't know. I mean,
Yeah, see, that's what gets me, then, you know,
that's,
it can linger on and on.
Well,
Shouldn't have to
they're not
write
getting
it.
any money until they come back in and give a
Yeah.
presentation to the board. So if
Yeah,
it takes
okay.
them 6 to 7 months, then it will. But I think they're probably getting close,
Okay.
because that's been
Yeah.
a few months ago when I talked.
But the 50's gonna sit there till they come in and,
And they may not make it this year. They may
Yeah.
decide that's not going to work out. But I think they're getting pretty
Okay.
close.
Okay.
do you have anything, Bob?
Nope, I'm
Just one more.
Yeah, go ahead.
When will the final appraisals be done after all the hearings, that we'll know exactly the dollar amount we'll be working with for budget.
Well, I think there's a deadline that's in July that the deadline is, but I think we'll know before then.
Yeah, because like I said, I think we want to get started as soon as we can, knowing what we got.
It used to be that the certification of the property values had to come out by July 1. They moved that date back, or actually, I guess, forward, however you want to look at it, when they redid the cap. Just give you more time to, the cities, I guess the county, more time to come up with those numbers. But typically they have them before then. But I don't have an exact date right now. I'd have to ask the county appraiser.
Okay. So we'll typically start in May.
Oh, we'll start. I mean, some of the stuff we've already been doing is towards the budget. I mean, like when we've met on the CIP and some of those things. So we're scheduling stuff as we go to bring it to you. Now, actual budget hearings are probably not.
Yeah, I know, but I mean, just so we know what we're working with. We
Yeah.
want to make sure we stay on track for the year of the taxpayer.
God dang right, you're the taxpayer. I have about 2-3 other things here. I brought up to the, and this would probably excite you,
Yes, sir.
term limits. And of course, I get a statement of in state law. You know, I go back to Clyde Graver, okay? And he lost the original statutes of the state of Kansas. They may have been 1/4 of an inch thick. And if you haven't seen them today, they're this thick. I remember a guy they used to call Boss out in western Kansas, been there for 40-some years as county commissioner. I don't care whether it's county commissioner, state representative, I've had friends there, U.S. representatives and senators. It's funny how we have what do you call it, for the president, but nobody else has it. So I have asked, and I said, we'll wait and see if somebody else will agree with me, to drop a letter asking our representatives, other than something for money. We never fail to ask for things for money, and the county usually does pretty good, but the schools and the city, they're always looking for some way to bring in money. I'd like to get a letter asking all of our representatives if they would look into creating some test of them. Let them have Boss Man out there with 40-some years. I also heard he didn't even have a driver's license. So it makes it interesting, and I say you wouldn't like it because that'd give you 8 years, and you know, on top of your 41, that makes you 49. So, if
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking about. You read my mind.
is that right? So if we can't get an agreement of 2 people saying, let's write the letter.
Let's write the letter.
Thank you, Bob, appreciate that. Is that all right with you?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. All roads, we talked about that. We talked about, he enforces our policies. People need to know that. I've got 2 things I'm working on right now that, you know, if these 2 individuals don't like the policy, they need to come in and see if we want to change the policy. Because the policy is there. And I asked him also how we were coming with the meetings that we were going to have with the city councils and commissioners for plans, visions, and et cetera, and he said he's still working on that. But we need to get that going so we don't have one city saying, well, that isn't what I was told by this group. I wasn't told this, so I think it needs to be on its way. So, anything else? Staff? Adjourned.
Adjourn.